back, karibuni sana. Welcome back. It is WABEBE Experience. The hashtag to use is WABEBE Experience. And the SMS line is up over on the screen. So, finya hiyo kitu bonyeza. Na tuendelee kuongea. And all of you who are also watching on Facebook Live, we appreciate all of you. Na tunashukuru tena sana. Keep on commenting. We are live with you there on Facebook. Now, before we proceed, I want to introduce the lovely guest we have today. She wears many hats, but the most notable one, she tells us many more. She is a nominated member of parliament and the acting party leader of Jubilee. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Sabina Chege. Karibu sana, karibu sana. Welcome, welcome to WABEBE.
Thank you very much.
Unaweza sema WABEBE? WABEBE.
I can try.
Sema WABEBE. Okay, si unajua si WABEBE, sema WABEBE. WABEBE. There you go. There you go. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Like I said, I mean, there are many titles. Of course, the latest one, the latest feather in the cap is the interim party leader for Jubilee. How is that going?
Well, it's tough. We've been in and out of court. But we trust God that all is going to be well because we mean well for the party.
Right.
We just saw a gap. Once the former president retired, then there were constitutional issues that he can no longer hold a political party position. And then he didn't name a person.
Right.
And so instead of having that gap, we decided, and all the entire NEC members, that we need somebody to act. I was actually appointed. I didn't appoint myself.
Right.
So through God's grace, I'm the one who is acting now. We're hoping it goes well so that we can be able to go back to the grassroots. You know, from TNA to Jubilee time, we've never gone to the grassroots to get our members.
Right.
And I think that's where we failed as a Jubilee party. So we want to go back to the ground. We get our people from the ward level to the constituency, all the way county to the national level. By the time we are doing our NDC, we should have members from the ground, not what we have done before from top to bottom. And we want, of course, to listen to our people.
Yeah.
And I believe Jubilee will reincarnate. You know, at some point they said we were dead, but we have 28 members of parliament. We have 5 senators. We have over 100 MCAs across the country. And we are third largest party, political party, actually in National Assembly. From UDA, it's ODM, then us.
Right.
So we took off.
You know, you're more of, you don't prescribe to either.
No.
Azimio or Kenya Kwanza?
No.
Yes.
Because you know what happened is Jubilee merged, actually it was TNA that merged the URP.
Yes.
And then 2017 we had Jubilee Party and we had also other smaller parties. Come 2022, we did a coalition agreement, which was not very clear because if it was clear, we would have been the majority party as mere coalition in the National Assembly. But when the papers were presented in the National Assembly, then it was not clear what was the terms and conditions about the coalition.
Right.
That's how we lost being the majority. And some political parties left immediately after the 2022 hotly contested elections that we really gave out, you know, we went out campaigned, you know, we gave out everything. Unfortunately, we lost. And 1 year down the line, you can't keep on crying, you have to move on. And so when we went back to National Assembly, there were several things that we felt that Jubilee was mistreated by our partners, if I call them. So first and foremost, we were meant to have a coalition. The coalition was meant to have commissioners from each and every political party, from ODM, from Jubilee, and from WIPA. Where we got, WIPA, they got their commissioner, ODM got 2. And we didn't get either. And in the allocation of the positions in the National Assembly, the ones we got as a minority party, we were meant to have at least 2 chairmen and 4 vice chairmen, but we only got 1 chairman, no vice. We didn't even have our own representative as Jubilee at the budget committee. You know, those important committees where the decisions are made. And so we kept on pushing and asking our boss, who is a former president, that we need to have a sitting as the elected members of parliament. But I think he was tired. He didn't have an interest. He lost interest. And so we were left like orphans. So you have lost.
Right.
Where you are, you don't belong. You are big. There was that, I would say it's
sibling
rivalry. And so the luckiest bit of a party, like the one that Kalonzo leads, which is WIPA, is that he's part of the decision making. And so when the decisions are being made, WIPA is seen to be a bigger party than ourselves because Kalonzo is active. So the other person who is our president kept off. So every other decision favored either ODM or WIPA, and we felt that we were abandoned.
Right.
So at some point we met and we asked ourselves, when did the rain start beating us? And we said we need to revive our party. We need our party to be more vibrant. And so we met in February in Nakuru. We changed some part of the leadership where Kanindi took over as acting SG. Right. And so we also gave Honorable Kainan, to be the person with the deputy party leader, or deputy chairman, actually. And then we also had Rachel Nyamai to take over on the treasurer. But from then, it has been, back and forth.
Yes.
Because once we did the communication, we were taken to court. But the court actually ruled that we followed the law. Then, of course, the Kioni and the team went again to appeal. We have like 16 court cases.
Wow.
We are trying to see whether we can be able to consolidate all of them.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that we did that was against the law or out of the law. We only followed and said, when we sit here, we'll die. If we if we don't do anything, our party is going to be extinct. From a party that had 177 members of parliament to 28 members of parliament, surely we can only now try and see how we can be able to, grow the party.
Right.
And we are hoping that come maybe 2027, because that's the next election, we will have a strong party. We will have many members of parliament from even governors. Currently, we only have one governor.
Right.
And even all positions in the MCAs. And so what we want as a team is not really power play. And why we said we are independent, because we have no agreement. We have not signed. We said we will support the government of the day. But if things are not going the right way, we also have the right to, criticize. And not just criticize, but give a solution. So we have a voice as a party. So we are not in the coalition, Azimio, because actually the days for coalition, after the election, 90 days, they're already done.
Right.
We have never met. We don't have any new agreement. So, and then with Kenya Kwanza, we don't have any agreement with them, written agreement. So for us, we agreed to work together. And so when we went to Bomas, we went to ask for our space.
Right.
Because if you noted, when the two teams gave their people to participate, members of parliament, there's none member of parliament who was selected from Jubilee by either coalition. So we don't belong anywhere.
Right.
And the only person who purports to represent Jubilee is Kioni, who is a clerk, who is actually in the secretariat. He's not sitting on the decision-making table.
Right.
And so we felt that even if we are not part of it, we support talks. We were the first people to say we don't want to go to the streets because we need Kenya to move on. We need peace. We don't want our young people to be mistreated. We don't want our young people to go and get killed.
Right.
So now, at least finally, our prayers were heard. People are sitting, they are talking, they're not fighting. And so we went to present our memoranda to say what is it that we would want as a party. Is it? Because they said the presentation will be done by coalitions. Not that we don't belong to Jubilee, we don't belong to Kenya Kwanza or this Azimio. So where is our voice?
Right.
That's why we went and said we asked for a slot. Hopefully they're going to give us a slot.
Yeah.
But one of the things we have said, because of every other year, the issue of winner stakes is all, and might be borrowed from what BBI was about, is that it's important that once a person loses, then they don't feel like they have lost. If you look at this election, it was very close, with 6.9 and 7.2, very close. Right. Actually, we were only short of 70,000 votes for the elections to be repeated. So if you look at 8 million Kenyans who did not also vote, you should ask yourself, why did they vote? Is it that they didn't believe in either? So we need to really, as a nation, look at it and talk and see how can we make sure that Kenya is peaceful and everybody feels part of this government. So we also don't like the tone of people saying we have shares, others don't. I think every taxpayer, every Kenyan has a share in this nation. And so for us is to support, because we would want to see this nation grow. We have many problems. The issue of unemployment is a time bomb, cost of living. And so in our memorandum, we were trying to give some solutions. For instance, in the issue of the cost of living, where we have government having many social programs, many of them. You'll find there's a program that supports the persons with disability. There's a program that is supporting the youth. There's a program that's supporting women. There's a program supporting the vulnerable. There's a program within health supporting Linda Mama. You find there's a bursary with the governor. There's a bursary with an MP. There's a bursary with the women rep. So you find there's a lot of, duplication.
Right.
And so if this money, because the money belongs to the government, is all brought together, and then we say, do you have indigents? Do you have families that we say they are needy? And then you get a card. That this card, you'll be able to get, if it's food, an amount of money that you can be able to go even to a supermarket and get the food.
Right.
If it's hospital, you have access to free healthcare and not discriminated. Don't be told you can only go to level 1 and 2, that you can access to good healthcare. Then your children will go to school. Then if you're a farmer, you can access to the seeds, because if you look at even fertilizers, the government keep on advertising, apply, go apply and get the fertilizer. So if you have this card, it's automatic that you'll be able to get the seeds, free seeds and fertilizers. That means if you're a farmer, you can be able to grow and have your own food.
That's right.
So we are saying there's a lot of wastages, and we can be able to, if we are able to have one fund, and now we even have the Hustlers Fund. So there are too many of them. And you find maybe the person who is benefiting from the Hustlers Fund is the same one who is given the bursary by the governor, given the bursary by the MP, given the bursary by the women rep. Then they're the ones who also get money for the youth fund. You can find one person.
Getting all of them.
The ones who have known how to work around it.
Yes.
And the ones who are benefiting at the expense of other Kenyans. So if the government is able to, tuseme wajipange vizuri, things can be okay.
Right. Okay.
The issue of winner takes it all, we are proposing what had been proposed earlier, that the person who becomes number 2, instead of saying you want to have an office of the leader of opposition, to do what? If you're a leader of opposition, you're not inside parliament. The only avenue you'll have to speak to your people is through maandamano, because you have no voice.
Right.
So our proposal is that person who becomes number 2 becomes the minority leader in the National Assembly.
Okay.
And his deputy becomes the minority leader at the Senate.
Okay.
So they will have a voice in the Senate and they will have a voice in the National Assembly. And of course, I would give an example. If you would imagine today, if Raila was a leader of a minority in the National Assembly, things would be different.
Right.
Things will be different. For now, Wanda is just one of us. And so when you're discussing issues, but if it was Baba who is there, if Kalonzo was in the Senate, things will be different.
Right.
So I think it's important that we look at everything wholesomely and not saying it's because these ones are in power we want to sabotage. Because even tomorrow, I would want to be the president. Then if I'm sabotaged, if I get the same sabotage, I'll feel very bad. And we must agree as Kenyans, and I don't know whether it's a problem with Africans or Kenyans, that when you go to a competition, we must have a winner and a loser.
Right.
It's obvious.
Yes.
I have vied twice. I have won twice. And all those 2 times I knew I would either lose or win. So what happens? If I lose, I should accept and move on. Anza kujipanga for the next time.
Right.
And I think we, as my team, because I was in Azimio, if you look at the same, they have lost like 4 or 5 times. They keep on, repeating the similar formula or a format. We lose, we go to the streets, we ask for a handshake or we ask for bipartisan, then we wait again. 5 years come, we go aggressively campaign, we lose, go to the streets, bipartisan talk, we are given something small, we wait for 5 years. It will never work.
Right.
I think things need to be done differently.
Yes.
And because for me, I love this nation. I feel bad when it's on a Monday morning or a Monday afternoon when kids are coming out from school. Then there's police tear gassing. Then there are stones. I feel sad when I see people vandalizing other people's business. Whether it's a private person's business, whether it's even government offices when you want to go and stone them, whether you want to go and burn the roads, it is our money that will repair those roads.
Yes.
So there's nothing that will say you are doing it to make the person in power feel the pain.
Right.
It is you who will carry the burden. And in part of what we have proposed in our memoranda, we have said, if somebody calls for demonstrations, I think you have seen other countries like even South Africa, when they're called for demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, they actually walk together, hold hands, they don't destroy anything, they have an area where they go and picket and give their view, and then they leave without hurting anybody, without stoning, without stealing. That is what should happen in Kenya. If I call for my peaceful demonstration, I should be able to tell my followers, we will meet or converge at Uhuru Park. We will march either to judiciary or wherever we are marching, holding hands. I will be walking with you. I'll not be in a car where I have air condition. When the tear gas is thrown, you guys are suffocating, or you guys are the ones colliding the bullets. And me, I'm in a car that is even armored. So I'm safe and I'm risking your life. No, that is not fair.
Right.
What I should be able to say is that I will come. I can come, even walk with my children, because I'm sure what I'm doing is peaceful. And then we go and give our whatever we have is a complaint or whatever we want to give, and then go back home peacefully without hurting anybody, without burning cars, without stoning people, without stealing. But in case anything is destroyed at that point, then me, as a person who would call for the demonstration, I should be liable. I should be charged. I should be the person to
pay for the damage.
For all the damages.
Right.
Because surely you cannot cause havoc so that you are heard. And you see, I'll say the problem we have as ourselves as leaders is that we are very selfish. Because I want it for myself.
Right.
What about that MCA who became number 2? Some even lost with 20 votes or 30 votes. What about that MP who became number 2? What about the governor or the senator? They were number 2s in all the areas, in the entire nation. What happens to that person? So let us not be selfish. Let us look forward and say, we love this country, we want to grow this country. If then I am in opposition and we make the opposition leader comes to parliament, then of course, anything the government is bringing, he's inside there.
Right.
He will be able to check.
Right.
He will be able to even become a member of a budget committee. He will be a member of a house committee. He will be there. And his people will toe the line because then they will keep the government in checks. Okay. So it will not be a matter of who are the minority or the majority. The person is going to be there to make decisions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to take you back a bit, but no, not back politically, but back to the beginning, because we see you now vibrant, speaking, like I said, acting, party leader, nominated MP, all these changes. But I want to go to the Sabina of way back.
Yes.
Like, tell us, how was it, growing up for you? Like, where did you grow up? Your schooling?
Ooh.
Yes, way back.
That's something. The Sabina you see today, I'm a village girl. Yeah, I'm saying I'm kuku kienyeji. I was born and brought up in the village.
Right.
My mom and my parents were farmers. My father was a driver with the Ministry of Agriculture. So he used to be a driver. He would come over the weekend. So I didn't grow seeing my father every day. Mm-hmm. He would come either after 2 weeks or once in a weekend or once in a month. So I was brought up by mom, who was a farmer. We were born and growing tea and picking tea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very good in picking tea. A good farmer. I went to Kenyona Primary School without shoes, which is normal. It was normal for them in a mud house. Right. It was normal for every other child. Yeah. And so I was born also number 9 in a family of 9.
So I'm
the last born. Okay. A family of 6 boys and 3 girls.
Yes.
And the first born is a girl, 6th born, and myself. So I'm the last born in our family. But I didn't grow as a last born because I was just quite aggressive from the time I was young. Active in church, active in school. I think I started doing poems like in class 2 and shairis, and I could compete all the way to the national level.
Right.
I used to preach in church, I think from class 1. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Catholic, so when the priest was not coming, I could go. I was very active Sunday school, very active in the youth as we grew. Mm-hmm. Then class 8, I moved to stay with my grandmother because I needed to be separated from my mother. So I went to Matu Primary School. Went to Mugweri Girls High School. Mugweri Girls is a national school, but in Muranga. Mm. So that's what I'm telling you, I'm a village girl.
Yes.
So I came to Nairobi when I was coming to, after Form 4. Mm-hmm. I picked tea a bit. And when I was picking tea, then I just found the guys who dropped in class 8, the guys who didn't finish class 8, lunchtime when we were going to take tea to the collection center, you just go and meet with them there. Then you start picking a story. It's a village. I was like, no, I don't want to stay here anymore.
Right.
So I came to Nairobi. I became a house girl. Mm-hmm. That was my first job. And so when I was watching TV, I saw Tausi. Mm. So I was keen because I used to, in Mugweri, I joined, by the way, drama when I was a Form 1.
Right.
It was a first. No Form 1 had ever joined drama. And number 2, drama used to be joined by the people from Nairobi. I was from the village.
Right.
So you can imagine. But somehow I joined drama. So when I watched Tausi, I went to KBC. I just walked and I said, I want to see Tausi people. And unfortunately, we lost Kibwana Oguso, who was my producer. He's the one who, without knowing me and not being a Kikuyu anyway, just said, we have a young girl here, what do you do? So I said I was acting in school and I'm interested. He said, you can act for us, sing for us. I think must have sung a Kikuyu song because there was an entertainment captain in Mugweri.
Yes.
I used to live it there for the people from Nairobi. I didn't know much. So he took me and I started acting Tausi. There was a Rehema before. So I replaced a lady who had left, was Rehema. And so I acted before I joined the university. And I joined the university. And at that point, by the way, I got married.
Okay.
Before joining university.
Before joining university.
Imagine.
Okay.
Before the day I'm supposed to be joining university, Monday, I gave birth on Sunday.
Okay.
You can imagine. So I had to wait for 3 months. And then
how was that time for you though, during that?
I think I was just bold because that was my first boyfriend, first relationship. I just felt like, I don't know. In a relationship, I was too Christian. In a relationship, you must get married. I think that's what I thought. Because I'd not even known that guy for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I just got, and I didn't get married because I was pregnant. No.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
just felt I want to get married. And so, and I was working. I had my own house. I had, by the way, one room house in Kayole that I was paying 1,500 per month. Yes. And so I was stable.
Yes.
And by the time I was acting, I had a little bit of some money now. And then I was also selling, were involved in sales. There was a company called Algon. So we were selling they had painkillers and anointments. So we used to go around and I could be paid 500 bob per day. So that was good money.
Yes, yes.
Then I had taken myself, also enrolled myself to college. So I used to, when I'm not acting, we go and sell those drugs. There was a painkiller. We could go to shops. We go to Nairobi, all the slums. We go to Kajiado. We go to Narok. We used to be taken by a van. And then in the evening, I could go to class. I enrolled myself as an accountant.
Right.
So that was my first college again. I used to love to do accounts. So I was doing all these things. Hey, I ended Gioni from 6. I was in Universal College from 6 to 8. That was how life began. So by the time I was going to the university, I was a mother, and I was driving to school.
Where?
Yes, because when I got married, we had these two rental houses in Kawangware that were Mabati ones, and I was managing them.
Okay.
So I got a little bit of some money, and so we invested in Matatu business. So by the time I was going to university, I had a gold card for Stanchart. I was a millionaire. So I could go, when I was pregnant, I could go and drive Matatu kidogo.
Yes.
Napiga skodi Dagoreti. I used to have Matatus. They used to be called
you're
dangerous.
Pregnant?
Yes, they used to be called dangerous grounds.
Allah.
Yes. So I was a Matatu driver, and I joined university. But then my first year, when I joined university and I had that little girl, beautiful girl, I became, Kameme started.
Right,
So I went and asked for a chance. I was not trained journalist, but I could speak very good Kikuyu. So they were like, oh, okay. So what do you do? I said, just give me a chance. I'll see if I can be able to manage the machines. And so with time, I was only given an interview on a Saturday where I was trained by Eric Latif. That's the guy who trained me. Was a producer then in Kirairo Amutito in Kameme. And so on Monday I was told you passed. And I had to get a job. And I'm in my first year. So what did I request for? To be given a late night show. Because I had to go to school between 8 and 5. Then I come home, cook for my family, finish. By 8:30, I'm picked by the car. I go to work in Kameme from 9 to 1 a.m. Then come sleep at 2. Then again, wake up in the morning at 6. 8, I'm in the university for 4 years. I was able to pay for my school fees. I was able to bring up my child. And that's, again, my media journey. So from Taosi I graduated. I did my first degree. I was a teacher. Like, I did teaching practice. I didn't really go to class after. So I did education. Then immediately after, I did my master's in communication. Later, when I joined politics, I did a second master's.
How did you join politics? What was the decision? The day you said,
I'm joining politics.
Yes, I want to join politics.
So now, when I came to Kameme, by the way, so I left Kameme after, because when I joined Kameme and I did my master's, I was made the marketing manager, and I was still presenting.
Wow.
So then I left Kameme, I went to WorldSpace Africa. I became their business development manager. But 2007, I joined KBC. I went back. KBC, remember, is the one that was producing Tausi. So I went back as a manager. I was the controller of all commercial radio services. I was managing 18 radio stations. Wow. And Shoro was one of them. But since I was a broadcaster before, when people used to go and leave, I could just go in and help, just sit in. So one day I sat in for the breakfast show, and my MD then was Wawero David. He said, you sound very good, and the ratings were coming up well for the show. He said, why don't you do the breakfast show? I'm like, I'm a manager of this other radio station. He said, no. Then that's how I started doing Shoro from around 2009. But then I was doing mentorship programs, and I had started a foundation. Back home, I was helping children who didn't have school fees to go to school. I used to go to all my primary schools and do mentorship. I could go with Akina Ben Gedai, all those guys, the guys who were in the media, then in the Kikuyu media. We could go and talk to those children. And so 2007 kind of elections, I was a bit active. I influenced the person who was elected, Jamle Kamau, as a member of parliament for Kigumo.
Right.
But I just helped him with roadshow. I went and talked to people. You know, people would say bad things about him and say, surely this is a young guy, he can help us. So he won. But 202, because I was then still a university student, when the first time Uhuru was vying, I used to like him a lot. So somehow when I was in the media, I could try and campaign for him. That was like the first test. But and when we lost, because I was supporting Uhuru, I was not for Kibaki, I cried. I was like, we have lost. But I liked it because he was young, you know?
Yes,
so it's like it's the time for young people. So come 2010, the guys from my village came and said, we want you to become our MP. I said, who? I had interviewed politicians. I was actually actively involved to help the community and resettle the IDPs. You know, we helped the people who were in Nakuru when they were being resettled. They didn't have water. They had many challenges. Some didn't even have transport. I even picked some children from IDP that I took to school.
Right.
So but people came and said, no, we want you to be our MP. I said, no, one, I can't go against Jamlik. I'm the one who campaigned for him.
Yes.
So what do you want me to go and tell people he has done, you know? Then they said, no, we want. I said, give me time. Now the new constitution had come, and there was a position of women rep.
Right.
So I told them, why don't I go for this position? Because I will not be opposing anyone. It's a new position. And instead of me being just Kigumo MP, I can become a county MP. And they said, we'll support you. Interestingly, then the late Mishuki wanted to be the senator of Muranga. So he had a group of the councillors in Muranga and who were doing campaigns for him. So when they were going to the meetings, they used to call me and I could go and train about the new constitution and the positions I understood, the governor, senator, and then I would tell them, then that one for women rep, that one I am requesting.
Yes.
And I got a lot of, you know, shock on me. People are supporting me. When he did the nominations, I actually got the highest percentage of votes in Kenya.
Wow.
As a nominated member of TNA. And when we did the 2011, the elections, I actually got more votes than my president in Muranga County overall, more than the governor, and I got a lot of love and support. So it was tough because you can imagine women rep, then we didn't have a kitty, we didn't have nothing. And the expectation people had were like this on me. And then the governor, of course, has his budget. The MP has a budget. You as a women rep, and you call yourself Maito. And I told them, Maito means Maito. I'm going to be your voice.
Yes.
I'm going to be... So all the problems of the county were on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But I thank God that we managed. We actually, the GAF that we have now, it's something that we came up with people like Priscilla Nyokabi and Florence Kajuju. We tried and got that fund, though it came late. Maybe the third year, almost going to the fourth year. So it was something that we actually worked on the last year. And many women reps were not re-elected. So I was lucky that I was able to be re-elected. In the whole of Central Kenya, we were only two. In Mount Kenya was only one. Mount Kenya was one, Mount Kenya were two, Central Kenya was the only one.
Yes.
So it was tough. But when I went to Parliament for the first time, when we allocated committees and people were, you know, then we were not dictated to who will become the chair or the vice chair. I sat with my committee and asked them to make me the chair of education committee. And many people were interested. Many people had campaigned. They said, what will you offer them? I said, I'm young. I was the youngest in that, in the committee.
Right.
And I told them, education is about the young people. So why don't you make me the chair? And shock on me. They made me the chair.
Yes.
I was like, what? Even when the news came and the guys were coming to interview me, congratulations, you are now the chair. I was like, is it me? Are they talking about me?
Yeah.
So it has been interesting. God has been faithful. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
I can say above everything, it's not about me. It's not about how I was born. It's not about how smart I've been. God has been faithful. Coming to become also the chair of health committee, I was anticipating 2017 when the late Honorable Laboso went for governorship and she was the deputy speaker. I really prayed to God that I'll become the deputy speaker 2017. And all indications were like, I'm going to be the deputy speaker. Things changed the last minute. And I was told, chair health committee, I was like, what? I'm not a doctor. What will happen? And of course, even some committee members who are doctors felt like, why are we being given somebody who is not a doctor?
Right.
But I thank God that we were able to do many, many, many changes within the health sector. And even today when we did the nurses, the doctors, they really appreciate what I did. They actually say, why don't you come back to the health committee? But when I came to this parliament, now being on my third term, because I came in as a opposition, I would not have been a chair. I thought being a member of a committee that I has chaired before would really look like I'm jeopardizing the efforts of the chair. And I requested to move from health committee to the agriculture committee, a committee I've never sat before. So a committee that also is very key because mainly people of my region, coffee, tea issues, all this issue of food security, as per the whole nation, the issues that affect women that have been nominated now to represent in parliament within the agriculture committee.
Right.
So my voice is being heard there as a member.
As a member.
But
Right.
I'm glad that I'm there. So I will tell you, it is just God. It's about working with God, and sometimes it can be very tough as a woman.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this world have not been said about me.
Yes.
Sometimes I wake up and I find things written on social media. I'm like, even at some point, my children ask me, "Mom, can they ask about you?" So you have to develop a very thick skin and just know you are serving.
Yeah. Other moments, what are some of the, what's the darkest moments for you, like in terms of in the leadership, when things either were said or not that?
I think the darkest was one. I'll go back to 2017 when we had to repeat the election. I was like, oh no, not again. And then within that time, I lost my mother. My mother left my house and they went and got an accident and she passed on the spot. And it was tough for me.
Sorry.
And we had to wait for 3 months for my dad to leave ICU for us to bury her. That was the most difficult moment. And you see, even at that point, there are people who started talking nonsense. You know, really, I was like, I think people need to know that we are human apart from being politicians. So that was really my really lowest moment in my life. But political-wise, just a few nonsense things that happened here. When somebody called with my name and then they started saying I had an affair with that young boy, I felt abused, actually. And I really felt bad. And the worst part is that till today, that case has never ended. We are still in court. You go, it is postponed. You know, justice. And at my position, if I would be treated that way, then the question is, what is justice for all the other Kenyans?
Right.
So that has really was the worst moment. Of course, then when we lost with Azimio, you remember I did not even go to ask for votes. I did not vie for any position because I said I want to offer myself. I want to. I gave everything for Baba.
Yes.
I gave him shoes to climb the mountain.
Yes.
We went across the nation. We went all the way from Kisumu. We went to Turkana, went to Mombasa. I went every part of this nation. So it was sad and that we lost, and we didn't just lose because we were not good. We lost because we were not well organized.
Yeah. Did people drop the ball?
Yeah.
So to say?
So as we did our part, going and talking to the people, we did. But the final, you know, there must be the final of agents and all those things we lost. And that's why I said genuinely now that we lost. And even when we went to the Supreme Court, they agreed, they said the current government has won. I said we cannot continue paining because once you are in denial, once you don't accept and move on, then the pain will never leave you.
Right.
And you'll never be able to move on. But it has not been easy. It has been a tough 1 year.
Yeah.
Making even the decisions, even to go and meet with the president, the deputy it's a tough decision.
Yeah, because people see, even when you look at, again, the spaces both online and even in the political circles, people would say that, like you said, I mean, in 2002, you like the fact that the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was young, he represented a certain demographic and a certain way of doing things. And then you went on to become friends, and then was it a feeling of betrayal or what happened? Are you still even in talking terms? Because a lot of things have been said between the both of you.
I have nothing against Uhuru, and I supported him when he didn't know me. We met in politics when I was already, elected by people of Moranga, so he had no influence on my election. And I have served his government well from being the chair of education. We did very things close because education then, you can remember then when we used to have mothers of all the strikes. And when I was a chair, we were able to, stop that story of mothers of all strikes because it was just about the understanding and some things that were agreed before during Moi's time.
Yes.
All those things. So we worked very closely, even in health, and even when the challenge of COVID came, we really worked together. When it came to his decision that he's going to support Baba, he didn't tell us who was going to be the presidential candidate. We actually knew ourselves was going to be a presidential candidate. Was it in February or March 2022? When we had like 4 months to the elections. So it was a shock to some of us. Some people felt like now selling Baba is going to be difficult. People left. But for me, I said I cannot leave because this has been our president. He's going to retire. We want him to retire with decency. And we walked with him the journey. We believed in what he said. And even when we walked the journey together, it's not that we were enemies with William Ruto. Remember, he was our deputy president. The first time he came to Central Kenya, he came for my Thanksgiving in 2014. We walked together. So it was actually a very tough journey. And even at some point, I asked William Ruto, why can't you and your boss talk? Because all of us, even today, we can't tell what happened. Nobody knows. And even when we lost, I still reached out to Uhuru. And the first team we wanted him to meet was the team of the members of parliament who lost. Because remember, we had very strong members of parliament from our region. And all of them, they lost not because they were bad members of parliament, not because they never worked for their people. It's actually because of the wave. So he agreed to meet with them. And when he met with them, we asked him, kindly meet now with the elected members of parliament and your senators so that you can have a way forward. We don't know what happened. He just disappeared. And so not picking calls, not talking, not telling us what he's thinking. So we felt like we are orphans. We had to look for a way of having our own standing. And because without that, then Jubilee was dying. So all that you have seen, it might look like we are fighting, but we are reviving Jubilee. And we respect Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta very, very, very much. He started the Jubilee Party. He now cannot be able to go on with the Jubilee Party. He can be a patron or something like that. But as per the Constitution, he cannot hold any political party position. And it's not as per us. I'm not the one who even appointed myself. I was in a meeting with the NEC members. Can you imagine out of 28 NEC members, 24 NEC members met and said, we want Sabina to be an acting Jubilee Party leader. For me, I took it with a lot of humility, not to humiliate anyone. But I would want to make sure that the position I've been given, that we can be able to grow the party, Jubilee Party. Because the only party that has, sustained many elections is only ODM. And that's why you see ODM has structures. And I can see UDA now, they are trying to, to have their own structures because even them, they are quite a new party. So Jubilee, having done the 2017, 2022, now almost going to 10 years, we should have proper structures for sure. And make sure that Jubilee does not die. That is my desire. And that's the desire for Kanini Chege and the 24 NAC members and also the 28 members of parliament and the 5 senators. We were not given anything. And I can tell you, we cannot be bought. If we were to be bought, Willis, the time when we were to be bought was then. Right now, the government is in place. Why do they need us? So for us, we actually want the party not to die.
Do you think there is a lot of misunderstanding in terms of when somebody says we want to work with the government of the day, and people immediately say, like you said, we are sasa banuliwa.
Yeah, that's what happens. But the thing is, we belong to this nation. God gave me an opportunity to come to parliament. If I decide when I wake up every morning, I'll be looking at the negative of the government and not anything positive, or not how I can contribute, then how am I helping our people? But if I am able to talk to the president and say, here, these things are not going right, this law needs to be amended this way, this is how we need to go. You have a working relationship where you can be able to exchange ideas, because being elected doesn't mean that you are a genius. It doesn't mean you are any unique. We had the first president, Kenyatta, who was elected. He never finished the problems we have in this country. Then Moi came. He's no longer there. Did he finish our problem? No. Actually, it's unfortunate that when Kenyatta came, he said the first thing that he wanted to address in Kenya, it was ignorance, poverty, and what? And disease.
And disease.
Till today, we are struggling with ignorance, poverty, and disease. So now that Uhuru came and his tenure ended, I'll feel sad when I see people destroying the expressway, which was the legacy, our Jubilee Party legacy. I would want to preserve that expressway and even build more. So I cannot be happy to say, we said these people are not good. We said they are going to fail. I'm clapping. Once they fail, I'm in this country. When the cost of living is high, it doesn't matter whether you voted as Mio or Kenya Kwanza. All of us are affected. And especially us leaders are affected because we have so many people. I think in the next month, I'm going to do a fundraiser for my foundation because I have almost 300 children that I take to school. I don't have CDF. I don't have money now to pay for them. I have to ask my friends to come and help me to pay for their school and keep them in school. So things are tough. It's not just for anybody. Even for me, things are very tough. So the only thing I can do is work with the government of the day. But that doesn't mean that when they are wrong, I cannot say they are wrong. No.
Yeah. All right. And so now, what next for Honorable Sabina? Where will we see on the ballot, or what are you going to? What's your focus right now?
I'm not
because
sure.
You mentioned here one day. Even me, when I want to be president, I don't want to.
Of course.
Is that the...
That would be the way I would look at things. I would pray that I'm the first woman president in Kenya.
Right.
I would pray to God that day can happen, because I can tell you something, William, about women and leadership. When a woman is in position, she's a mother. She's able to take care of everybody. Sometimes men can be oppressive. Sometimes they can be high-headed. Sometimes they want to, kifua. But for women, when we'll have a woman president, even if it's not me, you will see the changes in this nation. But you never know. God makes us pass through many paths. I am not so sure which position I'll be running for. For now, I am concentrating on my family. My daughter, now that I got that long time ago, is studying outside, so I'm focusing on her. I have another one who's in high school. I have my small young boy who's 9 years old. So right now, I'm much more of a mother and trying to put things together.
Right.
By the next 2-3 years, we'll see how politics will shape up, whether I'll still go to Muranga, I'll be in Nairobi, or I'll go for national politics. But for me, for now, is what I've been given in National Assembly to see. I have several bills that I'm doing to see that they are able to see the light of the day, to see the changes I can be able to make now that I'm in position. Because you never know about tomorrow.
Yeah. One of the things is women in leadership, and you mentioned how tough it is. Maybe you can paint for us that picture. And then, of course, we have made some strides, I believe, but then what more can be done?
Well, I think being a woman in leadership is tough. It's not easy. But I normally say, if you look at even the corporate world, you can see very many women are coming up. It is interesting that people are focusing on the boy child and say the boy child has, which is true. I have a boy and I would also want that boy to be given attention. But if you look at the many people in political, especially political space, they are men. So they have access and they can be able to inspire these, the boys. But for the women, there's an issue about finances, especially whether if you're married, your finances are not your finances. If a man is married, he can be able to do whatever he wants with his money. But for the women, you have to involve your partner. So the issue of even timing, how many women will be allowed, like you have to go for a meeting and stay up to 10 or 11 at night? It becomes very straining. When a man is in leadership, that man has left the wife at home. The wife will cook, take care of the children and everything. When a woman is in leadership, there's no man who will agree to go cook and wait for you at the house, in the house. So it becomes very tough. So you have to also, even if you are to get married, have a very understanding man and have a good family that will support you. So it's not easy. And when a woman does something, it is amplified. If the case of the guy who was a former deputy governor of Kirinyaga, who was caught naked, that case of it was a man, it died off. When a case of a woman, and it was actually even there was photo shooting, I don't know what
Photoshop. Yes.
All these things that were done, and it was claimed that it was a woman leader. That thing went viral. So surely, I think we need to have almost equal space. But the people who are going to create this equal space are political parties. If you look at the Kenya now, the only political parties that have women leadership now, say it's Jubilee, that I'm an acting party leader, and Mother Karua and Charity Ngilu. And their parties are almost, even in the coalitions, they are pushed there. Why is Mother Karua not in the talks now? And she was the deputy president. In Azimio, she's not in the talks. So we need, as political parties, also to create space for women and have a formula. In the constituencies, then if I have many strong women, we should establish where the women are. And the strong women, I will not go and look for you at home. But there are women who have come out and they have shown they have the potential. Then help them, whether with finances, even mentorship, and even exposure. Because sometimes, as women, we are judged so harshly, so harshly. So by the time you want to buy, you ask, hey, are you married? So who is your husband? You will even be told who was the first boyfriend when you were in nursery school. But for the men, even if he has 3-4 women, it is okay.
Yeah.
You actually become a hero. So we need really to caution the women who have the heart to serve. Because I normally tell people, if you go for any meeting, even a funeral meeting, you'll find mostly treasurer, a woman. Even in church, the most trusted. So if you trust a woman with your children, you trust a woman can carry a seed in the womb and deliver after 9 months. You trust a woman in the church, they are the treasurers. Everywhere else, even at home, you trust a woman. The married men, when the wife goes away, they don't even know where their socks are. So why can't you trust a woman to organize you also at the national level? Organize the economy of Kenya, organize the finances in Kenya, organize even how things are done in Kenya. And I think once we will be able to do that and not look at the woman as a woman, but look at the woman as a leader, as a person who can be able to offer more, then we'll go very far.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, Kamana Nyumbani Nhile, there are people who are watching who, and for this one, I guess we'll just keep on that point, who are women and who are young, and they're watching, probably looking up to you. What would you advise to them?
My advice is I'll tell any woman out there, go for it. Do not be intimidated by anybody. And this, if somebody scares you by either writing anything negative, ignore them. You know, I always say, anybody who talks about me, especially negatively, somebody who is intimidated or who admires me, who would wish to be me, but because they can never be me, then the only thing they're left for them is to talk negative things. Go for it, girl. You have what it takes, and you can become anything you ever wished or you ever want in this world. Just go for it. Be focused. Put your discipline there. You must be very disciplined. But above all, trust in God. I can tell you, mimi God amekuwa na mimi kabisa. You can trust your friends, they can disappoint you. You can trust your political, coalition or whatever. At some point, utaachwa kwa mataa peke yako, but trust in God. Once you trust in God, everything will fall in place.
All right, asante sana. Like I said, thank you so much for your time. We'll be looking forward to tunakuona hivi the next 2-3 years. We'll be watching
Yes.
once the 16 cases are done, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Remember the hashtag to use people is WABEBE XP. We're going to be right back after this break. Na pia 22047 ni namba ya SMS. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.